Hey there, Postal here. So we've got ourselves another replay. Like I said in the previous one, I've gotten a handful of these and I've just been, honestly I guess I've just been a bum. But we've got one heck of a game from SgtSchlautter. Link to his channel down below. I know you guys are familiar with him. But really good game in a plane not many people like. So let's go ahead and take a look. Alright, so as you can see, we are in the Tier 9 Seahawk. A lot of people like the British multi-role line that leads up to this plane, from the Hurricane 2, Tornado, Typhoon, and Tempest. And then the plane after this, the Hunter. Hunter's an awesome plane with those 4 30 mil Aidens. And this plane's kind of lost in the middle, and doesn't seem to get a lot of love. But we're gonna see Schlautter here get himself into some shenanigans and really kind of own the game. So, you know, it is a multi-role plane, so obviously the altitude performance is going to be kind of lacking, as it is for the majority of multi-role planes in this game. But he's really putting the guns to use. That silly frickin' F-94D, huh? Thank you, bot. Pulled right in front of him. Was able to get these 4 20 mil Hispanos on target pretty easily. It looked there like he thought that 262 was going to be gone quicker than it was actually gone, so didn't even really go for him. But we're up where a J7W1 definitely shouldn't be. This altitude performance is even worse, so get behind him. And right now, you know, Schlatter's just cruising along, and I'm doing a pretty good job of, I was going to say staying out of trouble, but it looks like he got himself into a little bit of trouble here. He's a little bit higher than you necessarily want to be in this plane, but he's not so high up that he's at any kind of terrible disadvantage. The Seahawk is not the most maneuverable plane, but it's not a terribly bad plane. And if you can get these 20 mils on target quick enough, you can definitely do a heck of a lot of damage. Let's see, this is a Tier 9 battle. I didn't even get a chance to check on this in the beginning. He's already up to 3,700 personal points. Oh wow, I was going to say we're watching our ground pounder go through a tower there. We've got some bombers and ground attackers on the enemy team. And right now we're just waiting to load back in. The enemy team already has a mining facility, unfortunately. So we're already at a disadvantage. You know, any of these maps that have 2 mining facilities can be a huge pain in the butt. What we haven't seen from Schlautter yet is him use those rockets yet. And I mean, to be honest, I can see why that would happen. The previous planes on this line were really more dogfighters than they were any kind of ground attackers. They were definitely more anti-aircraft first, and then anti-ground second. This plane has kind of a transition where the Hunter is a really well-rounded plane. It can do everything against the air and against the ground. This is really the first plane, and it's kind of funny to say that because it's Tier 9, the first plane that you feel like you've got enough ground armament to actually make a difference. So it took me a while to get used to actually having as many rockets as you have on the Seahawk. And at this point, you know, he's taking care of all the airplanes that are coming in, and he's got a reason to use his rockets. So we've got some GAs down there. I don't know if you saw that light fighter over to the left. We'll see how he handles that. Right now we've got a bunch of hit points, and that NC-1070 is just going to probably be tearing up, and it did kill our IL-20. Sure would be nice if we had an IL-20 over here to capture this zone. But we'll knock out this guy. Still didn't even need to use our rockets, so still have those rockets on reserve. We're able to get turned back around before this P-51H can get its guns on target. But we definitely need to be mindful of what this Mustang is doing. It is a Mustang, but it can still outturn us in a Seahawk. So we're able to get a mining facility, but we're still going to be down a whole chunk of points. Good, got him. Knocked out his wing, so it's easy to get behind him. Let's see what SgtSchlautter is going to do here to get this game turned around. The enemy team's almost at 50% of their points, and if we don't do something about that mining facility, the game's going to slip away pretty quickly. It's going to be a very difficult game to actually snag a win in, considering there's 2 GAs on the enemy team in a flight. The Seahawk is a very strong platform as far as being able to take down GAs, but it might be too much in this particular context. So we've got this J7W1 that for some reason really wants to be at way too high of an altitude. And that plane can really tear things up, so I try to make them a priority when I see them floating around way too high up. It looks like all the flippin' multi-rolls want to be up too high. So alright, we'll just keep on defending this zone, getting those J7s knocked out. I mean, heck, they're higher than the frickin' bombers. I know this is a Soviet bomber, but give me a break. You should not be in a Jawa at a higher altitude than a Tu-10. And you can see the strength of these Hispanos. Yeah, you should be used to Hispanos by now, but I mean, they're still super strong. Nice, it's Ju-288C with this rear gunner knocking on us here, but we've knocked out an engine, we've knocked out a wing. Let's continue to push. So we were able to hold this sector down, even though it's right next to their spawn point. And in the meantime, our friendly GA has actually flipped the mining facility. Using our rockets for air-to-air ordnance. Nice. Didn't work out, but well, it didn't work out directly, but I suspect it made that J7 have to turn when he probably didn't want to. What is that down there? Got that NC-1070 again. We have to worry about the planes that can kill us, though, first. We don't want the GA to be able to take the sector, but can't go after him and allow this F2G to get behind us. So we've knocked out the F2G at this point. Now let's go defend. We've got both GAs down below us here, and I'm sure SgtSchlautter's just licking his lips at this point because we're able to get down here and cause a lot of issues. We'll get rid of this NC-1070. Got ourselves a Lambert. That's after being killed once even, so that's pretty freaking strong, right? Knock off a whole chunk of hit points off this 1070, and I know the 1070 is probably sweating bullets. But SgtSchlautter took a wide enough turn to where he could get his guns on target there and keep this zone to ourselves. We're still behind on points. Holy cow, by a good 120 points. But at this point, let's go ahead and get the things that can take our base, right? So we're going after this JU. We've got a heavy fighter down south of us here, below us. But if we can get this bomber knocked out, we don't have to have too much worry about what's going to be able to get to this sector. We are way above our altitude performance, but you can see that this Seahawk, it obviously can do very well when it's air-to-air. He just got his ace, which didn't seem like he got 20 kills in that time frame, but obviously he did. We can trust Wargaming to count to 20, right? Hasn't even used his rockets for taking out ground targets. The only time he's actually used them is to be some interference in an air-to-air attack. But all of that is just outstanding, right? 22,000 personal points, basically. Got a Marseille. Again, that had to happen after he was killed once. Got that ace. Got a McCampbell. Got a whole bunch of medals here. So let's head on back. Alright, so clearly a good game. I was a little bit unsure if hanging on to the mining facility was going to be the best tact. But once I looked at the team setup there, our GA was a good player. I've ran into him before, and obviously SgtSchlautter putting his trust in that friendly turned out for the best. SgtSchlautter was able to take care of the GAs and allow his teammate to get the other mining facility, and then SgtSchlautter did the rest of that point. So he sent me this video quite a flipping long time ago. Jeez, September 8th. So this was one of the videos kind of lost, unfortunately. But I wanted to go over some of the discussion that we had as he sent it to me. Alright, so he sent me this video back on September 8th. And I told him, obviously a very good game. And I asked him, was this an anomaly for him in the Seahawk, or does he enjoy this plane? I quite liked it, but a lot of people seem to hate it. His response was, it seems to be a weird middle ground plane that has an identity crisis. It has elements of the previous line, but is trying to get you prepared for the Hunter at tier 10. And as such, it feels like it doesn't specialize in anything. I don't really like the Seahawk as much as the rest of the planes in the line, which I'm sure goes for everybody. Everybody seems to like the Hunter and everything tier 8 and below. He said it isn't as bad as some planes, but I wouldn't gravitate to it for fun. So my response was, both the Seahawk and the Attacker transition from one playstyle to another. Why is the Attacker loved, but the Seahawk not? And I thought he had a really good response to that. So he put the comparison between the Seahawk and the Attacker is actually pretty interesting. I suppose both are a transition. Even the guns are quite similar. Neither plane has a real increase in firepower over the previous tier, yet no one minds the Attacker, whereas the Seahawk is easily dismissed. He put, I think part of the reason the Attacker is still quite loved is because it has a very simple playstyle that is familiar to many fighters at lower tiers. It feels like a Spitfire at tier 9 since it still maintains its good maneuverability and reliable guns, while also gaining an increase in speed. It still feels like a natural progression of the line. Personally, the Swift doesn't fit the line nearly as well as it changes from the entire rest of the line drastically. You sacrifice the staple feature of the line, maneuverability, for increased airspeed with temperamental guns. Most people went up the line for the reliable guns and great maneuverability, but to lose that is a shame and undesirable for the line overall, as it isn't what the line is meant to do. And as we know, a lot of people don't like the Swift, right? So he continues on here, though. The Hunter line is similar in that from tier 3 to tier 8, you get good maneuverability, reliable guns, and fast reloading ordnance. The Hunter ditches that maneuverability for a heavy focus on ordnance capability and incredible speed. The Seahawk doesn't excel at either. It does have better ordnance than the previous planes in the line, but only marginally. Furthermore, the guns are hardly an improvement over the previous plane, and it loses some of that best-in-class maneuverability for multi-rolls. It sacrifices what made the rest of the planes in the line excellent to gain very little. At least the Attacker retained reliable guns and excellent maneuverability. The Attacker sacrificed little to gain airspeed. That's probably why people like the Attacker but find the Seahawk lacking. So I like his perspective, and obviously, just from the gameplay we've seen today, he's definitely has a grip on those discussion points. I would argue, though, that I don't think most people use the ground ordnance on this plane, and this goes for me even. They don't use the ground ordnance as much as I think should be. I don't know if this gameplay is a good example of that, considering he got an ace and it was his air-to-air capabilities that won this game. But I think in general, like normal non-carry kind of situations, you've got 24 rockets I think on this thing, And even myself, I don't really use them. I think you kind of get stuck in that mentality of like the Tornado and the Tempest and those planes that you have like 6 or 8 rockets, and you're like, it's not going to really make a difference. It'll help supplement, but that's really what the British multi-role line is, supplement line. I think the Seahawk has the potential to actually flip a zone, if that makes sense. Maybe not a mining facility. I'll take that back even. Definitely not a mining facility, but almost any other zone, you have enough rockets to be able to do that. Problem is, to do that, because you've got rockets and no bombs, you've got to get down low, and you get into that zone where the really maneuverable planes are, and you put yourself at a disadvantage. So, he stayed up high for the most part, except for coming down and getting some of those GAs, and he was able to play his best at that high altitude. So, I'm not saying the Seahawk is the best Tier 9 by any means. I'm almost certainly would rather have an F-84B. But that being said, I still think the Seahawk is a very potent multi-role plane. You sacrifice maneuverability compared to the F-84. You sacrifice maneuverability for better guns. So it just kind of matters your flavor. But yeah, so maybe we'll see some more Seahawk gameplay out there, right? Alright, well, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Check out Schlautter's page in the link below. He always has really good videos and really, really good, I don't want to say opinions, because they're more fact than opinion, but really good perspective on game and gameplay. So definitely check him out. And otherwise, I hope you have a great day.